Right. So you want some travel advice from somebody who's really experienced. So my name's Caitlin, and I've been traveling to like literally everywhere. I went with my girlfriends to like a world tour, right? Like world tour. That sounds fancy, but we took a gap year and we just did loads of traveling, and we always wanted to travel, the three of us. We always dreamed about like seeing new places, like gaining new wisdom and things like that. And we went through school, we were finished with college, we all got really good grades. We all have really supportive parents, so we gained a lot of like knowledge about the world through schooling, and we knew a lot about what to do, how to live on our own, how to cook and get everything we need to survive. And they were really supportive, our parents. It took a bit of like persuasion, of course, in the beginning, but they were soon like totally ready to let us go, like the three of us, and it was fantastic. We actually went, and it was like we saved all our money and we put it together and we planned like this world trip, and we were gonna like visit places that, some of the places we totally randomly chose off the map, and some of the places were places we always dreamed of going to. And advice, we should have looked for more advice before we started traveling. That's definitely true. And so I would say that before you start traveling, realise that even though you've grown up in the UK, even though you got on the best schooling and you just you learned, you feel so wise, and so liberated by our society and the ability to just tread the earth and kind of, do whatever you want. I would advise you to be careful and realise that there are some experiences which you cannot learn from school. Some surprises that will definitely jump out at you when you're travelling. And to realise that no matter how good you've done in school, you are so naive. And that's what I realised with my mates when we went out and travelled together. And so we were all really excited, and we even went shopping before we travelled to get like the best clothes, feel super fancy, feel super comfortable in our skins when we start, travelling. And we packed our suitcases with all kinds of things that we were certain we'd need, and let me just tell you right now, half of those things were absolutely useless, And we started travelling, been to South Africa, been to India, been to the Caribbean. We've been literally all around the world. Been north, we've been south, we've been to hot, cold, rainy, dry places, everything. Been to snowy places, been to really hot places, and been to places with very different mentalities and attitudes to things we take for granted here in Britain, in the UK. What we did, we took a gap year after college and we went travelling. But I would give a bit more time, do little by little. Go first to Italy or Germany, Spain or something, and don't go so far. We went travelling with no necessary experience, what to do when you get sick, what to do when you get mobbed, attacked in the street because you didn't do your research and you didn't know that you shouldn't have gone down that area and that's a bad area. We didn't do that kind of thing. We were very naive. We just went where we wanted to. We felt that the world was our oyster and that we had a right to just kind of step wherever we wanted to. And speaking of the shopping we did right before we left, listen, boys and girls, be really careful what you're wearing before you enter a religious like temple or something, because if you didn't do your research and you don't know what's appropriate to wear, then you might expect some bad verbal or even physical assault sometimes. Like, basically, ripped like short shorts and a tank top is usually deemed unacceptable, inappropriate. So do your research, be careful what you're wearing in different public places. We went to some places where, we had this idea, we're like free women, we can look out for ourselves, but not everybody has that outlook in the whole world. So if you go somewhere where don't expect them to have the same kind of like respect for women, or like expect them to think that you're free as a woman, that you have equal rights to men and all that, because not everyone believes that, And that's something we realised when we went travelling that we weren't aware of before we went to the places in question, where they didn't really have the same beliefs about women as we do in the UK. So that was rather unpleasant. At times it was hard to get out of unpleasant situations. You get into all kinds of trouble for not behaving like as suitably as you should have, in the opinion of the people living there. Even women were scolding us for being the way we were, wearing what we want, acting the way we wanted, doing what we wanted. It's not always like appreciated, wherever you go. So you got to do your research, make sure that you're not bringing any trouble, basically. And so also watch out about like certain animals that you don't know about. What happens if you get bitten by a certain creature? You just wake up with some kind of bump on your leg and you don't really know, is this life-threatening, or is it something that's just going to pass in a week? You just don't know. Also, make sure you actually done a course in survival before you go and live in a forest for a week. Do camping. We'd never done camping, and we shouldn't have really done that. It was really, really unpleasant, because most of the time we were just figuring out how to get immediate kind of relief from various discomforts that we took for granted getting relief for in the UK, So when you're out in the open where there's no one to help you, and not even a hospital, you've got to really be careful that there are no health hazards around you, there are no predatory animals. Well, we never had such an encounter, but we did have a threat of it. There was this large dog that just appeared, and we all started screaming. We didn't know what to do, panicking. Basically, every girl running in a different direction. The animal makes a noise, and we all scream in response. It was really disorganised and really badly planned, basically, and really, really naive of us to, it was just a dog. It was just a bit of a large dog, really. Yeah, and we just abandoned all our things and just ran. And it's better to stick together when there's a dangerous situation. But we just ran from each other, and we were alone for a while, and there was no signal there. So we were just kind of lost from each other for some time, and we had to we spent most of that camping week just finding each other, basically. So yeah, my tips for doing a worldwide travel is to really, really, really do your research, and before you start traveling worldwide, to possibly do like a little bit of travel, not too far, and to maybe when you decide to travel really far away, to make sure you have an experienced friend or somebody with you who knows what to do in emergency situations, if someone falls ill, if someone gets bitten, if there is a predatory animal, if there is chance of something terrible happening. Basically, you know, we three were lucky. We went through all kinds of really difficult situations, but we got through it all, and we were lucky, and we lived to tell the tale. But not everyone does. You know, there are lots of teenagers who don't survive such trips, you know, and we really learned that that is a possibility on our trip. So that's all I wanted to say, really. Thanks.